Who are the top midfield maestros that you should be aware about this season? Well, in this episode, I'm going to be giving you my top 5 midfielders in the Canadian Premier League season in 2019, starting now. Hey, I'm Curtis and you're watching my channel A.F.C. Curtis, your home for all things Canadian Premier League content. If you're new here, maybe consider hitting that red subscribe button. Now this is my next video in the line of preseason previews coming to the start of the season, and I've already done my goalkeeping episode as well as my defenders episode, and I'll have a link for those two videos and those two rankings down in the description below for you to check out those after this video. But in this one, today we're going to be talking about the top 5 midfielders in the Canadian Premier League. Now this covers, holding midfielders, defensive midfielders type position, central midfielders, and attacking midfielders. So that's all included in this list. I've done the research, I've talked to the scouts, I've talked to the coaches, and I've talked to you guys, the fans, and I've been able to kind of put together, and this one was actually really hard too, by the way, this one as well as the forwards one, which will come out later this week, but definitely check that one out when it comes out. But for now, in this week's episode, it's going to be my top 5 midfielders. Now let's kick things off with number 5. Number 5 is Cavalry FC midfielder Nik Ledgerwood. Now we're going to start things off with a defensive midfielder in Nik Ledgerwood. And Ledgerwood, yes, is 34 years old, but I think he still has a lot to offer to the league, and he's coming in with a lot of quality still and a lot of class and a lot of good leadership that he can help lead the Cavs possibly to a spring or fall championship and even overall championship. I think he's going to be one of the better defensive mids in the league, and that's probably because he can also play really well at the center back and fullback positions. But I think the 34-year-old with over 300 appearances in club football in countries like Germany, Sweden, the old NASL, and of course the PDL last year, mix that together with his 50 appearances with the Canadian men's national team and playing with Canada through the U17, U20, and U23 levels. I mean, he's got so much experience at just 34 years old. I think he can still bring something to the Canadian Premier League, not just this year, but for the foreseeable future over the next couple of years. And I think he's going to be one of the big vital parts of Canadian Premier League, not just Cavs, but Canadian Premier League success over the next couple of years. So look for Nik Ledgerwood coming in at number 5. Number 4 in my rankings is FC Edmonton midfielder James Marceline. So Marceline comes in at number 4 on my list, and one of the better defensive midfielders in the league for sure. Actually, his manager Jeff Pullis recently did say that he does believe that he's one of the best signings already in the CPL. I mean, that's pretty high praise from his manager there. And he's coming with over 180 club appearances in the NASL, where he was part of their best 11 team, the USL and MLS, and even has a couple matches under his belt in the CONCACAF Champions League, which could be vital experience for FC Edmonton if they do so qualify for this summer's CONCACAF League and then potentially next year's CONCACAF Champions League. And of course, he even has 30 matches under his belt with the Haiti men's national team. So I think James Marceline coming into FC Edmonton's system, I think he's going to be a great signing in terms of leadership. And a guy like this guy too is a good box-to-box midfielder, can add a lot to the attack from the back end, which is really important in an early startup league kind of like this, or just in any league in general. And I think he'll be definitely one of the top high-class midfielders in the Canadian Premier League. Number 3 on my list is Cavalry FC midfielder Julian Buescher. Julian Buescher comes in at number 3 on my list because he's in his mid-20s and already has over 120 appearances in club football in the lower levels of Germany, the USL and MLS most recently. And I mean, this guy's a player that doesn't really need to come to the Canadian Premier League. He could have made a really good living in the USL, or could have pushed for an MLS spot even, I believe, on some teams this year. So I mean, a player like him with, is a good center midfielder, can go box to box, can also lead in the attack as an attacking midfielder, and this guy's going to bring a lot of good offense. I think he's kind of underrated, a bit of an under the radar type player in the Canadian Premier League so far, as I think a lot of players are. But I think if Cavs FC goes on to win a championship this year, he's going to play a big part in that midfield, and I think he's going to be a stud, an absolute stud in the Canadian Premier League, and kind of like a CPL All-Star this year. So watch out for Julian Buescher. Number 2 on my list is Valor FC midfielder Josip Golubar. Golubar will be a huge part of Valor FC's attacking formation this year, and if they're going to have any success, it's going to be all on his shoulders. He's going to be a big part of it, at least this year, him and probably Stephen Hoyle as well. But I do think that Golubar is going to come in. He's got over 230 appearances, by the way, and playing in leagues like Croatia, Austria, and Slovenia. And on top of that, he's a guy who can play second striker, not only as an attacking mid, but as a second striker. He can come in. He's actually really good at goal scoring, as well as even being a good playmaker type attacking midfielder. So he can pass the ball, he can score the ball. That makes him a pretty dangerous player in this league. Plus, with his experience, he's probably going to be one of the top under the radar players and signings ultimately from this past CPL offseason. So look for Golubar coming in at number 2. Number 1 on my list is Forge FC midfielder Kyle Becker. Now, Kyle Becker comes in at number 1 on my list because, I think the consensus is that he is the best player in the Canadian Premier League and should be in the running for the MVP for the inaugural season. And I think with that being said, he's going to be a perfect number 10 for Forge FC. He's going to finally get the minutes he deserves and contribute offensively. And a league like this could be perfect for him because he's still in the prime of his career. He's got tons and tons of experience playing in, the NASL, the USL recently, and even the MLS for a couple of seasons there. So, he's got that professional experience. He also has 18 caps with the men's national team. So, he's going to fight for a spot back in there. And I do think that, a league like this, if he comes in and does all right and does really good like he should be, then I think he can find his way back onto John Herdman's Canadian men's national team. Maybe not in the summertime, but maybe in the fall time at the end of the season after he puts in a full season's work in the CPL and does really well there. So I think look for Kyle Becker to be one of the top players, not only in the midfield position, but in the league in general in 2019. So that was my top 5 list for midfielders. Let me know down in the comment section below, what do you guys think about my top 5 list? Did I miss anybody who is in your top 5 list? And do you think Kyle Becker is the best midfielder in the Canadian Premier League? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure you can hit that like button, that thumbs up like button, so it shows me that you like this video. And if you want to see more content just like this, maybe consider hitting that red subscribe button. And of course, you can also watch my shows over at northernstarting11.com. I'll have a link for that website down in the description below. We're part of the network there, so go check out that website. Click that link, support them. There's a bunch of great soccer podcasts there and vidcasts just like this one. You can go there, listen to some great soccer podcasts for Canadians by Canadians, just like the Canadian Premier League. So definitely check it out down in the description below. And until next time, thank you guys for watching.